seems now a foregone conclusion, does it not? That it is not in any way going to be 6 games. Like that the reaction was hostile enough that the Cleveland Browns now have in their possession at least one lost season of football. They have given the most guaranteed money a player has ever gotten, and they're going to get at least one lost season of football. This year for the Cleveland Browns has been thrown in the wastebasket because Roger Goodell is doing the right thing. The Cleveland Browns, on top of getting all of the hits that they're getting in public relations, also are now going to have to wait for Deshaun Watson to come back and play football with 2.5 years of rust on him?
Yeah, so what? I mean, Goodell, to your...
don't you think that's physically hard? Like you said,
I think it will be physically hard, yes, and I think that's part of the reason they're playing him in the preseason, just because he's got to get some sort of playing time in and maybe get some of that rust off in the event that it's not a full year. But I applaud Roger Goodell. Like, Danny's arrived at a point, because I was surprised to see Goodell do this. But he is sticking his neck out there, and he's telling you, hey, I've seen the evidence. 6 games, not enough. I want a full year. I'm okay with that.
I'm not going to criticize it, but I don't think it's sticking your neck out. I think it's
easy.
Totally easy, yes.
This has been one of the easier
But I'm glad he's doing it.
I'm glad he stepped up to the plate. Like, get this one right. Just in a vacuum, you gotta get this one right. So we'll see. I'm still very disappointed in the Cleveland Browns' lack of comments on this. We saw that statement that was terrible.
Well, isn't the comment we're starting him Friday?
Yeah, which is disgusting. You just found out he did this. Like, it's certified. You had an investigator take in all the evidence, and they told you point blank, your quarterback did these things. You're standing by the guy. You've made that decision. You're not getting, in my opinion, the consequences of that decision publicly right now. Because you can do all the we stand by him stuff beforehand, and we believe in him, and we believe in second chances even though he didn't do anything wrong. But now you have the evidence heard, and you have the result of the investigation. And we've actually been cool with this the entire time.
And you say taking a year off, like that's hard for him. I say good. Right. You deserve at least that. Like, yeah,
I'm not. I wasn't saying hard on him. I'm saying
just
when
hard
he comes
physically,
back,
like,
right?
Like,
when he comes back.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you're saying the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm just, that's my take. When you say that, I'm like, yeah, good.
I hope he's a shell of himself. I want it to be a very punitive thing. I want him to be healthy enough to play, but be terrible and set that franchise back even worse. I'd be fine with him never playing ever again, and they're stuck with Jacoby Brissett. I just want them to suffer the consequences of doing this. I hate the move. I hate what they did to me. I hate what they did to my fandom. I hate that they pushed me away. I was looking back at old Brown seasons when they were terrible, and I was missing it. I'm a weirdo like that. I was recalling the Browns' one win, week 1, where Jeff Garcia beat the Ravens, and I talked about it like most franchises would talk about a Super Bowl victory. I miss my fandom. They pushed me away with this. To hell with them. Drop the hammer.
Dan, I understand what you're saying.
I can't believe that that all of this has happened to your fandom. Like, what a Mike has gone from being
a big Browns fan.
No, he
loves them.
He
loves them.
It was a team that I loved the most.
Yes.
I don't know that there has been. I don't know anybody in media or anybody personally who's a sports fan. I really don't. Who has been this affected, had their fandom this contaminated, where he has gone from riding with this team with one win in 2 seasons to I hate them, hate everything about them, I'm rooting for them to suffer, I want them to be terrible. That represents a...
Well, I think it's... Listen.
I mean, I like some of the players. Also, like, Nick Chubb's my favorite player in the league. Myles Garrett's one of my favorite players in the league. I love Denzel Ward. I think I'm going to still root for individual players that I had a connection to. I'm not going to ignore Browns on my fantasy team or anything like that, but I want the ownership to suffer the indignity of more losing. Yeah, you went for it. Yeah, you gave up all the draft capital and you finally nailed the quarterback that you've been trying to nail for 30 years. And now look what happened. I want to laugh at you.
I'm proud of Mike, Dan. With age comes perspective. He has a child. He has a daughter. Like, I'm proud of Mike that he has bailed on the Browns because he has found that it's not, winning at all costs is not worth it. And so good for Mike, like, for turning his back on his favorite team by far. Because that's what he's done.
Win at all costs. I have changed. And I still will have my hypocrisies. But, yeah, They pushed me away.
My point is, Stugotz, that for all of the moral outrage out there that you can find on any number of subjects, very often all I'm seeing and hearing is noise. It's just noise. It's not the action of I now hate and am rooting against my favorite team. Like, it doesn't actually happen very often. And I haven't met...
I don't think Mike's alone, though. I think there's other
but I
Browns
haven't
fans.
met any of these people.
I know there are people in that building
Yeah.
right now that are rooting against their team, their employer.
I have not met many people who are willing, because you get accused of virtue signaling when you do these things. Our show gets accused of having gone to the extremes on not being able to talk about this stuff without having a bunch of moralities seep into it.
Virtue signaling is such a term used by the worst people to try to call someone out for saying something that's actually like maybe kind of decent. Like, all Mike is saying is that he's really disappointed in the team he grew up with because they did something that's pretty disgusting. And if you want to say that that's virtue signaling, like, I don't know why we need to even entertain that term as something to be critical of.
He's not just saying it, though. It's the doing of it.
Yeah,
it's one thing
it's not,
to
I'm not
say
even
it.
signaling it. I'm trying to be virtuous, which is something that I think we should all aspire to, by the way. Like, virtue is not a bad word. This isn't a cuss word. You're trying to own someone by alleging they're trying to be virtuous?
You are virtuous and awake.
Yeah.
You are.
Putting his money where his mouth is,
No
Dan.
longer sleeping. I am aspiring to virtue. I'm not signaling it, though. Like, I've thrown out Browns hats. So I'm not going to games anymore. I'm gambling again.
But Dan, he's 27. Like, when he comes back, I understand what you're saying. How's it going to look? He's still going to be great at playing quarterback.
I just don't know what the
He'll
effects are.
be 27 when he comes back.
That's fine. I don't know what the effects are, and neither do you, of a quarterback of that age just sitting for 2 years.
We saw it with Michael Vick.
Are we then assuming
Michael Vick was a pretty good example.
that the third year that is going to be...
He's going to be good.
He's going to be good.
He's good.
Going to be in the prime of his athletic career.
Last time we saw him,
Yeah.
he was good. Even though the team wasn't very good, we saw him be very good on a bad team. That's a dynamic talent. There's a reason why Dabo said if you pass up on him, you're passing up on the next Michael Jordan. He's had that top level talent that has eluded the Browns almost their entire existence, and it's driven Jimmy Haslam to totally sell out. Cast his morals aside, what little he had, by the way, because go ahead and dig into that rebate scam of an owner and what he did with Flying J. And he just cast it all aside in the pursuit of winning. Not worth it.
I'm less sure than you guys are that sitting out 2 and 3 years of speed level there, and I'm not saying that
It might take a minute.
I'm not
Dan,
saying-
but-
According to camp reports, it's not taking him a minute.
Right. He looks
Like,
great.
he looks
Yes.
good in camp. He looks
Yeah.
like a significant upgrade over the quarterback that I hope drags them all week 1 in Baker Mayfield.